Good day, everyone. Today, we will discuss about land pollution in Chapter 5. What is land pollution? Land pollution is a result of dumping garbage, waste, and other toxins, making the land contaminated or polluted. Land pollution is the degradation of Earth's land surfaces, often caused by human activities and its misuse. Haphazard disposal of urban and industrial wastes, exploitation of minerals, and improper use of soil by inadequate agricultural practices are a few of the contributing factors. Land pollution, the deposition of solid or liquid waste materials on land or underground in a manner that can contaminate the soil and groundwater, threaten public health, and cause unsightly conditions and nuisances. The waste materials that cause land pollution are broadly classified as municipal solid waste, construction and demolition waste, or debris, and hazardous waste. Municipal solid waste includes non-hazardous garbage, rubbish, and trash from homes, institutions, for example, schools, commercial establishments, and industrial facilities. Garbage contains moist and decomposable, biodegradable, food wastes, such as meat and vegetable scraps. Rubbish comprises mostly dry materials such as paper, glass, textiles, and plastic objects, and trash includes bulky waste materials and objects that are not collected routinely for disposal, for example, discarded mattresses, appliances, pieces of furniture. Construction and demolition waste, or debris, includes wood and metal objects, wallboard, concrete rubble, asphalt, and other inert materials produced when structures are built, renovated, or demolished. Hazardous wastes include harmful and dangerous substances generated primarily as liquids, but also as solids, sludge, or gases by various chemical manufacturing companies, petroleum refineries, paper mills, smelters, machine shops, dry cleaners, automobile repair shops, and many other industries or commercial facilities. In addition to improper disposal of municipal solid waste, construction and demolition waste, and hazardous waste, contaminated effluent from subsurface sewage disposal, for example, from septic tanks, can also be a cause of land pollution. Several types of land pollution. 1. Agricultural land. To increase the yield of products, more and more fertilizers are used, along with large quantities of pesticides, insecticides, and fungicides. They are all rich in chemicals, which are able to kill the pests and increase production, but stripping the soil of its minerals and other useful compounds. 2. Industrial waste area. Waste material, produced from different industries, contributes to land pollution. Industrial wastes are normally generated from agricultural produce processors, oil refineries, pharmaceuticals, construction sites, and energy-producing power plants. For example, construction sites produce wood, metal, and plastic wastes, which make their way into landfills. 3. Garbage dumping area. There is a lot of garbage that is generated in each of our houses, as well as at places of work. Garbage can be in form of metal, glass, plastic, cloth, wood, or even paper. If there is food in the packets, and it has gone bad, the animals may be poisoned with the food, which can lead to their death. This garbage makes its way to the dumping grounds, which in turn give rise to landfills. Some of the garbage is biodegradable, while there is some that is not biodegradable. 4. Deforestation area. Land degradation and pollution also occur when we cut down trees to clear land for agriculture, construction, mining, or other economic activities. Deforestation leads to the total loss of the land's value. Elimination of natural vegetation disrupts the ecosystem, adversely affecting various life forms. Take forest areas, for example, trees absorb 20% of the heat from the sun's radiation. In so doing, it protects and conserves the surface soils from detrimental degradation. When you cut trees, you expose the Earth's surface to the sun's intense heat and other harmful elements. This, in turn, leads to land pollution, soil degradation, and desertification. 5. Mining site. The extraction of materials and ores from under the Earth's surface also contributes to land pollution. Mining degrades the quality of land. These include the extraction of metals, oil, coal, stones, sand, and mineral ores such as gold. When mining, or quarrying, you normally have to clear the land surface and drill huge manholes and pits. After mining, we leave the land completely defaced and exposed to erosion, which further whittles down its quality and value. What are the causes of land pollution? Waste disposal. Humans produce vast quantities of waste in factories and offices, in our homes and schools, and in such unlikely places as hospitals. During the 20th century, the development of plastics and other synthetic, human-created materials has produced a new generation of unnatural materials that the natural environment has no idea how to break down. It can take 500 years for a plastic bottle to biodegrade, for example. Difficult to recycle e-waste, such as computer circuit boards, which made from dozens of different electronic components, countless metals, and other chemicals, all tightly bonded together, and almost impossible to dismantle. Nothing illustrates the problem of waste disposal more clearly than radioactive waste. When scientists discovered how to create energy by splitting atoms in nuclear power plants, they also created the world's hardest waste disposal problem. Nuclear plants produce toxic waste that can remain dangerously radioactive for thousands of years and, what's worse, will contaminate anything or anyone that comes into contact with it. Nuclear plants that have suffered catastrophic accidents, including the Chernobyl plant in the Ukraine, which exploded in 1986, and the Fukushima plant in Japan, which was damaged by an earthquake in 2011, are generally sealed with concrete and abandoned indefinitely. Mining. Although there are many responsible mining companies, and environmental laws now tightly restrict mining in some countries, mines remain among the most obvious scars on, and under, the landscape. Surface mining, or, sometimes called quarrying or opencast mining, requires the removal of topsoil, the fertile layer of soil and organic matter that is particularly valuable for agriculture, to get at the valuable rocks below. Even if the destruction of topsoil is the worst that happens, it can turn a productive landscape into a barren one, which is a kind of pollution. Most metals, for example, occur in rocky mixtures called ores, from which the valuable elements have to be extracted by chemical, electrical, or other processes. That leaves behind waste products, and the chemicals used to process them, which historically were simply dumped back on the land. When mines were completely worked out, all that was left behind was contaminated land that couldn't be used for any other purpose. Urbanization. With over 7.7 billion people on the planet, it might come as a surprise to find that humans have urbanized only about 3% of Earth's total land surface, though about 30 to 40% of the total land area has been transformed if include agriculture. Agricultural chemicals. Feeding the world on such a scale is only possible because agriculture now works in an industrial way, with giant machines, such as tractors, and chemicals such as fertilizers and pesticides, herbicides that kill weeds, and insecticides that kill bugs, increasing the amount of food that can be grown on each piece of land. Unfortunately, most pesticides are by definition poisons, and many remain in the soil or accumulate there for years. One infamous, and now widely banned pesticide, DDT, is not ordinarily biodegradable, so it has remained in the environment ever since it was first used in the mid-20th century, and even spread to such places as Antarctica. DDT is just one of many organic, carbon-based chemicals that remain in the environment for years or decades, known as persistent organic pollutants. Atmospheric deposition. Air pollution doesn't remain air pollution forever. Sometimes, though, it falls back to the ground and becomes either water pollution, if it enters the oceans, rivers and lakes, or land pollution. Pollution created in water or land from existing pollution in the air, atmosphere, is known as atmospheric deposition. Land can become polluted by deposition in some very unexpected ways. For example, a corridor of land either side of a highway or freeway becomes systematically polluted over time, with all kinds of harmful byproducts of road travel, everything from fuel spills and brake linings to dust worn from the pavement, and heavy metal deposits, such as lead, washed from the engines. Two important things are worth noting about atmospheric deposition. First, it means no land on Earth, not even the most isolated island, can be considered completely safe from pollution. Even if it's hundreds or thousand miles from the nearest factory or human settlement, even if no human has ever lived there, it could still be polluted from the air. Second, if you're doing something that causes pollution, maybe spreading weed killer on your garden, or perhaps running a factory where ash is discharged from a smokestack, the effects are not necessarily going to be confined to the place where the pollution is first produced. It's important to remember that pollution knows no boundaries. Soil erosion. Many people think soil is soil, always there, never changing, ever ready to grow whatever crops we choose to bury in it. In reality, soil is a much more complex growing habitat that remains productive only when it is cared for and nurtured. Too much wind or water, destruction of soil structure by excessive plowing, excessive nutrients, overgrazing, and overproduction of crops erode soil, damaging its structure and drastically reducing its productivity until it's little more than dust. At its worst, soil erosion becomes desertification. Once productive agricultural areas become barren, useless deserts. The effect of land pollution. 1. Groundwater poisoning. Depending on the soil, and whether the chemicals were improperly disposed of on the land, the chemicals could end up in the groundwater. The process is known as leaching. It can occur on farms, industrial sites, and landfills. 2. Water nutrient enrichment. Chemicals, such as nitrogen, are used frequently on farms. Only a small portion of the nutrients end up benefiting the crops. The remainder usually ends up in water that is populated by fish, algae, and other life forms. The nutrient-heavy water saps up most of the oxygen in the water, which leaves little for fish and other life. When this happens, eutrophication occurs. 3. Loss of topsoil. As chemical fertilizers and pesticides are used to maintain crops, the topsoil's composition becomes altered. The soil becomes more susceptible to harmful fungus species and begins to erode. 4. Shifting habitat. As deforestation and soil erosion progress, animals are forced to move to find shelter and food. For some animals, the change is too traumatic, and this has led to some dying. As a result, some species are at a greater risk of extinction. 5. Increased risk of wildfires. The dry conditions created by pollutants in the soil help to create the perfect environment for wildfires. The fires can grow quickly because of the dry conditions and widening area of polluted land. Effects of land pollution on humans. Humans can also experience negative consequences that can influence quality of life and health. Some of the potential consequences include birth defects, the development of breathing disorders, skin diseases, and cancer. Most of these develop after exposure to waste from water poisoning and soil contamination. Land pollution has also been linked to developmental deficits in children. Chemicals that are commonly found in contaminated soil and water, such as lead, can impact a child's cognitive development, even if the exposure is very low. Some solutions to land pollution. There are several possible solutions to land pollution, including conservation. Conservation focuses on preserving natural resources, such as soil and plants. The efforts to conserve resources can start with utilizing sustainable practices. For instance, leaving some of the trees in a forest to naturally die and decay. This not only leaves the cover needed for the soil and other vegetation, but it helps to provide the nutrients that the soil needs to remain fertile. Proper waste disposal that focuses on treating waste and disposing it in the safest manner possible. Reusing materials to reduce the need for harvesting of resources. Products that are not reusable can likely be recycled. Reducing the usage of non-biodegradable materials, such as plastic shopping bags. The simple act of switching to a reusable cloth bag for groceries can help cut down on the need for non-biodegradable materials. That's all for land pollution. Thank you.